Hey guys, it's Roel, and in this episode, Francois is going to talk about the highlights of WLPC Prague 2023, which presentations were his favorites, which ones to look out for. And I've also started watching some of these presentations, as you can see here in the background. I highly suggest you check them out on YouTube over at WLAN Professionals. There's a lot of great presentations, and I'm guaranteed you're going to learn something new because I already have. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode between me and Francois as we do a recap of WLPC Prague. Need a Wi-Fi scanner and survey tool that won't kill your budget? Try Wi-Fi Scanner for Windows. It's an all-in-one tool to explore Wi-Fi access points, test speed, and perform active and passive surveys. Built by Wi-Fi engineers for Wi-Fi engineers. Visit wifiscanner.com to start your free trial today. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Clear to Send podcast. I'm glad to be here as your co-host. My name's Roel, and I'm here with Francois. How are you doing, Francois?
Very good. Hey, Roy, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here because we're going to do a recap of WLPC Prague. I think it's one of the best conferences to attend because of all the great presenters and all the people that do show up to be there. One of the things that we like to do on this show is talk about the different presentations that came up because they are worth looking at. And if you want to further your career and education with Wi-Fi, these are the presentations you should watch. Right, Francois?
Yes, and so WLPC to me at first felt very overwhelming because it's a lot of it's very technical. So if you're not in the field or you're just getting in the field, sometimes it can feel like you're just drinking out of a fire hose on those days because you're just trying to understand everything. Um, but if you've been in the field, you find that you always learn something new. So even myself, I try to go to the WLPC both in Phoenix and Prague, and I always find myself learning something new. On top of talking to everyone and seeing everyone, spending some time with the people in the community and getting to meet new people. So it's a very exciting event. We usually always have a lot of fun at these events. So yeah, so we had the last one in Prague, I think about 1 month ago now. Um, so took us a little time to record this, but hopefully it's valuable for you guys. And if you haven't seen some of the videos on the YouTube, everything is available on YouTube for free. You can always watch some of the videos at night when you're relaxing or when you're having lunch or whatnot. Um, we're gonna kind of highlight some of the ones I personally liked. It's gonna be highly subjective, but you guys can watch all of them and then come back to us and tell us which one you preferred throughout the different sessions.
Yeah. And so before we go into these presentations that you liked, what did you think of the conference overall in Prague for 2023?
I think it was good. I think that it's been almost 10 years now. I believe the next one in Phoenix will be the 10-year anniversary for the conference. So I
Wow.
believe now I think Keys has it kind of nailed in terms of format, in terms of what people expect, what people want. So I didn't attend the boot camp. I just went to the conference event.
Mm-hmm.
But the format with the presentations, the keynote in the morning, and then the different 10 minutes presentations, and then the deep dive in the afternoon. I think it's pretty cool. The format is really nice. And then the vendor sessions at the end as well. I think it was pretty good. There we did get quite a bit of like tool of vendor presentation. That's one thing I noticed.
Yeah. What do you
But
think
as
about that?
well, I think that as long as they provide some good information and value and educate people on different things, I think it's valuable because some of these people working for the vendors,
Yeah.
they're actually working on things that you and I don't work on. They might be working on the new stuff, the Wi-Fi 7, the MLO, and they may have information that we do not have. They also might be involved with organizations such as the IEEE or the Wi-Fi Alliance. So getting their point of view on some of the new stuff, I think it's valuable. If it's just, a vendor that comes and just tell us their solution is the best, maybe not. But we'll go back and talk about that, I think, in this episode, because I thought there's pretty good momentum right now, especially around the toolings. And so
Okay.
we got to see like a few new tools that are, making everything more interesting in the space, exciting for everyone, I think.
Yeah. So why don't we go into the ones you want to highlight? Like, what did you think uh, should be the ones that we should go to YouTube and start watching right now?
Yeah. So if you I checked the preparing this episode, I actually check which videos has the most number of views, and it's actually a presentation from Peter Mackenzie, which is not surprising. Um, and so Peter, I think he did two, maybe three presentations,
Oh wow.
but two that I can remember of. Well, he did two, and then he co-hosted another one. But he did like a serious presentation, like an hour presentation, and he talked about offsets and
Hmm.
how he likes to use it, for predictive, for validations, and so on. So this one is really interesting. I think I'm gonna rewatch it as well. You may have to watch it a couple of times to kind of grasp everything, but um, it's more like an idea or thoughts type of presentations. But then he did the second one, which was a 10 talk, and it was more like a humoristic presentation. And he presented version 10 of Wi-Fi in 10 minutes. So the presentation is called Wi-Fi 10 or Wi-Fi X in 10 minutes. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it just talks about silly stuff for 10 minutes, and it's very funny.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
so this
It's
one
good
I
to have
think
a
is
little
like the top.
entertainment in there.
Yeah, exactly. That this one is the top, but it's also entertainment. It's very funny. For the more serious stuff and the things that I liked or I discovered, um, there were a presentation on a glass antenna. This one was really cool.
Wow.
So
A
there's this
glass antenna.
company. Yeah. So there's this company, they do glass. It's kind of like their business. They manufacture glass. And for a while, they've been putting antennas in glass for cars. So you know how back in the day we used to have a
Yeah.
little antenna sticking out of our car. So
Yeah.
now all of these antennas are inside the back
Hmm.
windshield glass. So we don't really see them, but the antennas are embedded inside the glass. Actually, if you look
Right.
closely enough, you'll see them.
Yeah, I've seen
Um,
it.
yeah, you've seen. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So they thought, maybe we can do something similar for Wi-Fi, and they started to think about, okay, what could be the use case, where could we put the antenna, and then they kind of narrow it down to environments where aesthetic is very important. I
Right.
know,
Yeah.
Roel, you'll understand that because
That's a
sometimes you have to.
very, very common thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So and especially in public spaces, right, where usually architect, they'll fight for the environment to be nice looking, no ugly antennas, but also in these environments sometimes that's where we need to have a little bit more flexibility with the antennas,
Hmm.
so we can do our RF design. So they thought, okay, maybe we could embed the antenna into existing glass element in the environment. And their first idea was to put antenna into the exit signs. So you
Okay.
know how you have like exit signs, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we can make them out of glass. We can print any image that we want on these, and then so we can print the exit glass, and then we just put it under the ceiling, and here you go, you get Wi-Fi. So they're still like kind of experimenting it. They have an
Hmm.
omnidirectional antenna model. They're going to come with a directional one, which I think would be nice and useful, because what they can also do is they can put anything on the glass. So let's say for your university, for your athletic building, you want something where you have the logo of the team. Well, you could do this. You could have a piece of glass with the directional antenna, right? And then you
Okay.
can you can slam the logo of the team on it, and no one will know that the Wi-Fi is there. and then you have your your RF cable with your RPSMA or your RPNC connectors, and you can put the AP wherever you want. So it's I thought it was a pretty clever idea, and the more now, the more I think about or talk about to different customer about things, the more I think about it. I was like, you know what, that would actually be useful in this environment.
Yeah, I
um
think it would too. Sometimes those environments, like with all glass walls, it's almost nearly impossible to place an antenna or an AP anywhere. So as long as they have a
yeah,
place to put the AP, I think that would be a viable
yeah,
solution for many of these aesthetically pleasing environments.
yeah. So you can go watch that video. It's called the wave antenna.
Okay.
And then I'm supposed to get one to kind of test. So if we get one, then we'll send you some short
Are you going
videos.
to replace one of the windows in your house there?
No, it's pretty. When you look at it, it's pretty small. It's like the
Yeah.
size of a book. If you
Okay.
see the size of it, that's pretty much the size of it. But I'm guessing they can make. I'm guessing the size can be customized.
Yeah.
Um, if you talk to them, anyway, it's pretty nice, and it's something that I guess no one has really thought about in the past.
Yeah,
So
it's funny because it's in cars, so why can't we do something similar for other frequencies as well?
yeah, the thing that I really like about it is that it just blends in any environment, because people will
Hmm.
never, you know, s- think that
They
it
won't
is
think about
actually
it.
an antenna. Yeah, they'll see it as a sign. Oh, there's a sign. Or, you know, I forgot if you tell me they can put LEDs on them, but they could potentially put LED where you can change the messaging. If it's
Hmm.
Christmas, if you put it in the mall, if you Christmas say, Happy Holidays or whatnot, and
Yeah.
so
Happy
it's
holidays,
anyway.
and here's your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. um yeah, I was
It's
talking to a customer actually, and they had an issue in the mall where they have like a center bowl section, but they are not allowed to install anything inside the bowl. But the bowl is actually has a diameter of 30 meters, so it's pretty. I'm trying to convert that to feet, almost 100 feet.
yeah, that's
So it's
huge.
pretty
Yeah.
big. Yeah. So all we can do really is use directional antennas, but then it's a very old building, so it looks off to have a directional antenna. So
Yeah.
if they come up with like a directional glass piece that we can put on all of the openings, I guess, of the bowl, then that could potentially work for the Wi-Fi. Anyway,
Okay.
so that was one that kind of I enjoyed it because I learned something new. Second one that I liked was the presentation from Jim Palmer, because
Yeah.
he did a lot of 6 gigahertz, testing with devices, digging up in the documentation, trying to understand the different classification of devices, low power indoor versus standard versus duo. What do we have out there in the field? What can we expect for the future? What does AFC looks like? Where are we with AFC? What are the hurdles that we have right now? So he can, and I believe he had an hour talk, if I'm
Oh
not
wow.
mistaken.
Okay. Jim always
Uh,
commands an hour.
yeah, maybe
I would
not. Don't
definitely
quote
like
me
to
on
learn
this.
more of where AFC is currently because we should have had it by now, right? I think it was supposed to
Yes,
be this quarter, but
yes,
originally was quarter 1 of this year. Who knows?
yeah. So it was actually a 30 minutes. Sorry, a 30 minutes presentation, but um, I think it's a good video to watch right now if you want to have a better understanding of what standard power will do in the near future. Right? Maybe not the
Yeah.
long term future, but for the near future, if you're asking yourself, okay, what can it bring to my organization? What type of problems we're gonna get? And so it's a good understanding to get the state of standard power today. So I thought this one was valuable as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I think some of those is just to know what's coming, what's happening. it's very important to at least be up to speed or have some knowledge of what may be coming down in the very very near future as you plan for your deployments and plan for start designing for 6 gigahertz. There's a lot to consider and a lot of work
Hmm.
that needs to be done, right? I know we are kind of behind as an industry there, but I guess it sounds like there is some progress being made.
Yes, and it's I guess the good thing for us is that we don't have to enable 6 gigahertz at first, which means that we can kind of plan for it, we can design for it, we can purchase the right equipment, and then when it's time or when we feel that the clients are up there, then we can start enabling it. So
Yeah.
it sounds very stressful, scary, and all of this, but in practice, we can actually take baby steps and see where it goes, I guess.
Yeah, I'd be curious how many of decision makers and people who approve the budgets for infrastructure, if they are considering that and want to know where that status is. But I guess we'll find out very soon. I know just a few people that have made comments about where it's at, but not necessarily
Mhm.
placing all their decision making on it.
So for the low power indoor, we had a lot of people talking about 6 gigahertz, especially related to security, right? Because we've talked about this on the podcast, but we know that with 6 gigahertz we have like some minimum requirements that we have to meet at on the security end, which can impact 5 gigahertz and 2.4 potentially. But people working for big universities, they're starting to deploy 6 gigahertz and they're happy with it, and with .1x, they seems to have no problem on the LPI side of things. So today people are definitely deploying 6 gigahertz.
Hmm.
Um, and some people are more fortunate than other because they have more spectrum.
Yeah.
If you think about the US, Canada, or the Americas in as a whole, we get the 1200 megahertz. In Europe, they're still fighting to get there. They only have the Uni 5, so for them it's harder to get wider channels. But 6 gigahertz here, we're about to do a deployment for a customer. We'll go 80s, no problem. Right? We'll
Yeah.
go 80s, which means that as a theoretical data rates, you get 1.2 gig, um, which is like, it's gonna impact the user experience a little bit. If you're moving from a 20 megahertz wide channels to 80, you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, what just happened?
Hmm.
So it's I think it's really gonna have that, thanks to the larger channel width. So if you that's why I really hope Europe can get the full 1200 megahertz. That's gonna have some sort of impact on the user experience, as long as we don't have like connection issues with 6 gigahertz roaming between 6 and 5 and all of this
Yeah.
fun stuff,
Yeah, there's a
right?
lot of things to test out and see how it works. And maybe for Phoenix or even for WLPC 2024, we'll be able to
Hmm.
get some real world experience. And I was actually fortunate enough to join a webinar where somebody from AWS was testing 6 gigahertz out in Europe, and they were able to get some very good, decent speeds and experience of people who did join 6 gigahertz.
Okay, awesome. Another presentation I liked was the evolution of the Wi-Fi beacons. So this was given by Jean-Marc, and he gave like a history on what a beacon is, going back all the way to back in history and talking about what the term beacon actually means in the
Yeah.
dictionary. So it was actually interesting. But then he brought us all the way to what the beacon for Wi-Fi 7 looked like. Right. So he
Okay.
presented the couple of new information element that we can expect to see for Wi-Fi 7, and then Adrian Granados actually, later on he presented, is like, oh, we actually have this in Wi-Fi Explorer. We can detect Wi-Fi 7 beacons, and we knew what he was talking about because of the
Yeah.
presentation from Jean-Marc. So it was kind of cool to see the evolution of beacons, especially the new piece with Wi-Fi 7. So you can
Uh-huh.
expect what to see in those beacons
Okay.
in the future.
We'll be right back to the episode. Do you need a tool that offers seamless Wi Fi analysis and troubleshooting? Look no further to Wi Fi Scanner for Windows. It's a versatile 3-in-1 tool. Discover Wi Fi access points with ease, assess speed and performance accurately, and conduct detailed active and passive Wi Fi surveys seamlessly. It works perfectly with the internal card of your Windows device. The Wi Fi Scanner Copilot feature is ready to troubleshoot common issues related to connectivity, performance, security, and configurations. Broaden your reach by analyzing remote networks with Optify and WLAN-PI integration. Dive into beacon information or delve deeper by opening wireless PCAP files. Visit wifiscanner.com and download a free trial today. All right. That's a good technical topic right there.
Yeah, good technical topic. Another one that I really liked was the a presentation called the different versions of 802.1x, presented by Karsten Ewan. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing his name correctly. But it was also very technical. But he gave a lot of information about .1x that we don't usually, think or talk about. So I found this one to be really cool as well. It's only 10 minutes. I believe both of these are 10 minutes. So it's if you have 10 minutes, it's a really good, um, way to spare your time.
Yeah, not so much about RF, but still having to deal
No.
with Wi-Fi when we talk about security and
Yes.
and what's entailed there, what kind of issues you might run into. Always good to know as a Wi-Fi engineer.
And Karsten is kind of funny too, so it's entertaining as well. It's pretty cool. And so these are just my subjective views,
Yeah.
and I know like we had a lot of great presentation. Like we had presentation from, Peter, Jennifer Minella, we had presentation from, David Coleman. So, I'll let you guys watch all of this and have fun watching all of them. We also had a couple of, I call them the thought-provoking presentations. So presentation that kind of make you think about the way you work and if you could do things differently, which were pretty nice as well. I always like these presentations. And one was about using internal antennas in a warehouse.
Okay.
So we had this presentation from Oguzhan Aaron. I think he's from Turkey. He works for HPE, and he did this whole testing of using like an AP with internal down tilt Omni antennas into a warehouse. And so he did some testing. He explained what he did. He did some line of sight measurement out of an apartment and took some pictures and stuff. It was actually cool because he can demonstrated, what happens if you put a down tilt omnis in a warehouse, and the height was, I forgot, it was probably like 8 meters, something like this. And so it was kind of nice to see the results
8 meters,
in his case. Because when we think about warehouse, we typically think about directional antennas.
Using directional. Yeah, that's a good idea, and kind of counters to what everyone always says about warehouses. And I think it's good that somebody does talk about it and shows the results, because I've done it before too, and I have 3 warehouses that I've done where they're all omnidirectional. It's not directional antennas. The customer didn't have the budget to do it, so I think this is a good example of, hey, making Wi-Fi actually work. And I think as long as you know what you're working with, the types of devices and the requirements, it should be able to work. As long as you do it properly, plan properly, and test.
Yeah, exactly. So he talked about this. Then there's another one. We already talked about it, but off with the offsets from Peter McKenzie. He talks about what an offset is, how accurate it can or cannot be. Do we want to use it for designing on the predictive tool? Do we want to use it for the validation when we go back on site and measure things? So this one is also nice to kind of look at and see, see if you could take a couple of things from it.
Yeah, that one for sure I'll watch, because I've always been curious of using offsets, especially in a design. I currently don't use it, but I'd like to see what Peter has to say and whether there's something worth considering.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it, but so people go watch it. I would have something to say about it otherwise. Maybe in another episode.
For another episode.
And
Yeah. We'll both try something different and validate it and then see, maybe present our thoughts on it.
well, I can say that what Peter does, this is what I'm doing as well. And this is
Okay.
probably what you're doing as well. So, another one that I thought was pretty thought provoking is the presentation from Drew Lenz. He came and
Mm,
talked about AI, and his presentation was, the title of his presentation was, "Will AI make site survey a thing of the past?"
mm,
Right, and so that's one thing that I've been thinking about too as well. So I thought it was nice to kind of see from the vendor standpoint, because now he works for Cisco,
yeah.
what tools they have or what tools they're leveraging to kind of make this claim,
Hmm.
or at least ask the question. And so he talks about the different technology that we have now inside the access point, the 11MC, the GPS, the
Hmm.
gyroscope, and all of these different technologies that can help us understand how the network has been installed, but also how the network is seeing, like how the APs are seeing each other.
Yeah.
And maybe we can get to a point where we can use AI to tell us that the network has been installed properly, or
Sure.
not, and then tell us how we should go about it, and then tell us also information from the client devices, so we can have an understanding of how the RF is, maybe
Yeah.
creating heat map automatically. I don't know, I'm just speculating,
Yeah. I
but
think
that's kind of like the idea.
that's where the money would be, is in the clients, I think, because the clients move
Hmm.
around, they're going all throughout the floor plan, and I think creating a heat map for maybe those devices would be more beneficial than, say, having the APs talk, because the APs is just one part of the conversation. For a Wi-Fi network, you
Yeah.
need to have the client side as well, but without this, I guess, integration of clients statistics and whatnot, we're kind of in the blind there, and that's why we're doing these validation surveys. But I would say in the
Hmm.
future that may happen, and it may be one particular manufacturer that really cares about Wi-Fi on their device to then partner up with maybe a single AP vendor, and then we'll see some results there. But that might
Hmm.
take a while still. I mean, we haven't seen a big number of device manufacturers partnering up with infrastructure vendors to provide this kind of
Yeah.
information.
So I think like you, we are far away from having something like this, but I think that I feel like the vendors are kind of setting some or deploying some technologies that can allow us to get there one day.
Yeah.
We can do a few validations today. We could automate some validations today, but
Hmm.
we're not to the point where we can get a heat map automatically by just pressing a button, right? So
Yeah. And
maybe
we're
maybe
close.
one day we'll get there. But for some industries, survey will be required no matter
Yeah.
what. For some other industries, I'm thinking of retail where they have to deploy 100 of stores. It doesn't scale anymore to send 100 Wi-Fi engineers do a Wi-Fi
No.
survey.
No.
So they'll be looking at maybe a hybrid solutions, or um,
Or
the
some
way I'm
sort of
thinking about
external
it.
tool. Yeah. Some tool that you could use and even just provide to somebody on site to just collect
Yeah,
that data. Um,
yeah.
I think that's where it's really going to be headed, but no particular vendor right now just kind of stands out in providing that information.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I guess that's a good transition to talk about the tools presentation, because we had a lot of presentation from tools
Hmm.
manufacturers, and I think that more than ever we have a lot of movement in that space, which is good for us, the users, because it means the companies there challenge themselves a little bit more, they innovate more, and they give us better tools to work with. Um, so I think the space is very interesting right now. So we had presentation from um, Ekahau. They presented their new Just Go survey.
Hmm.
So it's just the ability to do a site survey with your phone, even if you don't have a floor plan. You will use the camera on your phone to scan the environment, and it will build the floor plan for you
Mm,
as you survey. So
okay.
they demoed this, in the room, so you can watch that video. It's pretty cool. This could be valuable if you have to do a lot of small like validation or troubleshoot site surveys, and customer doesn't have the floor plan for you.
Yeah.
Then we had the two new kids on the block, Amina and Sidos, who presented both on their solution, but they also so Amina talked about their survey solution. So
Yeah.
they coming out with the hardware that's called the Nomad, and they partner up with Oskium to actually work
Okay.
on that hardware component. So they are going to introduce their survey application as well. I forgot the name of it, but we're
Yeah.
going to be able to do survey with Amina.
Okay.
Then you could connect the Oskium spectrum analyzer to it if you wanted to have spectrum analyzer as well.
Okay.
So that was
Interesting.
kind of like
It's a good
their
development.
presentation. Yeah, and they talk about pricing and all of this. You can watch it. CDOs, they talked about the way they do things, which is very different from the two others. So
Hmm.
it's very interesting to see they're kind of using the cloud. They're using, um, uh, I forgot the technical term. It's like a predictive AI, generative, something like this, some fancy word, to kind of predict, the walls, the attenuation elements.
Yeah.
So that yeah, that allows you to do a survey and then manipulate the data, do a predictive from a survey, and whole bunch of things. So they talked about this, and then we had the WLPI that came and talked about their stuff. So this year was less hardware, but it was more software. So
Oh,
they
okay.
worked on improving the UI, the web UI. They worked on improving the tools that they have, on the WLPI. They added
Yeah.
Grafana this year, so you can create
Oh,
your
wow.
dashboard. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um, so they talked about the improvements that they've made on their end, which was mostly software. They also worked a lot on the documentation. Now they have books that you can follow and all of this. So you can watch that as well. Then we heard about um, Adrian Granados and his company Intuitibits. He talked about the updates on his product. So he talked
Hmm.
about Wi-Fi Explorer Pro for Windows. So that's
Yeah.
out now.
That's a big
He talked
development.
about, yeah, that's a big development for him. Um, then he talked about the fact that his tool supports Wi-Fi 7. And he talked about the fact that he is working on a new version of Wi-Fi Signal, the little tool that
Oh,
gives you
okay.
Wi-Fi
Awesome.
specs. So he gave
It's
like a
always
sneak
bleeding
peek of what
edge.
it's kind of.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then we got the new tool that not many people knew about, which is a spectrum analyzer,
Mm.
and the company is called Aeronia.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
from
I
what I
heard about him on
understood,
Twitter.
yeah, you've seen them on Twitter. From what I understood, they specialize more in like drone tools.
Okay.
Um, that's all I know. But anyway, they have this spectrum analyzer technology that allows you to do like to take spectrum analysis to the next level, and it was really impressive. One presentation, I guess, got canceled at the end, so the guy just came up and with Peter McKinsey, they just presented the tool, and they
Yeah.
they just pretty much do like a demo of the tool, but you can see the entire spectrum at once. So you can see 2.4, 5, and 6 all in
Okay.
the same window. And so they were
Oh, so it's
showcasing different
scanning it all at the
harmonics.
same time.
It's scanning it all at the
Okay.
same time and really, really fast. Like it was scanning really fast. And I think JD made a comment about how fast it was, and then I think he said, "Oh, that must be like real time. It's really fast." And the guy
Yeah.
is like, "Oh no, no, that's not real time. That's sampling. You want to see real time?" And then he changed it to real time. It's like, whoa! It's like you're going into the matrix. So
So you'd
it's
be
it's
able to
not very.
catch things that you wouldn't be able to see on the devices we use today. This is a real dedicated spectrum analyzer.
Yeah, what was very interesting is that you can see the harmonics. So if you're
Mm.
generating something, let's say on the 2.4, and then you have the harmonics on the 4.8, twice the frequency, you're going to be able to see it. So sometimes we would be able to see that, is it what I'm saying, the harmonics, or is it the source, the true
Okay.
signal, the true frequency. So you can catch
Interesting.
stuff like this. Yeah, and you have a better resolution as well. And then
Yeah.
they also have other tools where you can see the modulations
Uh-huh.
that are being used. So it's and then he gave like a super good deal. Apparently, it was a super good deal for what the unit cost. He was telling us that they don't make any money; they lose money selling them.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it is more expensive than, because it does more. I forgot the price. I don't want to say something, but
Yeah, yeah.
uh, you,
Is it worth it though for us as Wi-Fi engineers to have a tool like this that we can
yeah,
pull out of our bag?
I think if you do a lot of troubleshooting and you want to have you want to have that special tool that allows you to do special things, I think it could be useful. um,
Okay.
yeah, it depends what type of services you're providing, but yeah, if you provide like high-end professional services, I think it could be worth it to have this tool to kind of differentiate yourself. But
Okay.
it's good for an educational purpose as well, because you can show the different modulations, how it impacts the signal. You can show DSSS versus OFDM. So if you're a teacher and you're teaching these concepts to people, that could be also very valuable to be able to kind of showcase that on the spectrum analyzer.
All right.
So a lot of
I'll have to check
presentation
it
from
out.
tool manufacturers. You
Yeah.
guys can and hopefully I'm not forgetting anyone, but you can go back and
There's a lot of
well,
presentations.
yeah, it's a lot of I think there's 40 presentations.
Yeah, so lots to catch up on and learn. I already feel like I'm behind, but looking forward to at least spending some time, maybe this weekend, checking out a few, maybe the highlights that you just recommended.
Yeah, well, we also had a few presentations from people who works at universities in Europe, so you'll probably like these ones. We had one from Stefan from Austria. He talked about troubleshooting in higher ed. So he had like a couple of use cases of real troubleshooting example he gave. That was pretty cool. We had Martin is from a university in Switzerland, and he talked about how he uses the Grafana Prometheus to do his own like monitoring.
Hmm.
So he can detail that, and then he has a GitHub where you can try it for yourself. Um, um, we had Karsten works for university as well. I'm not sure, but a presentation on .1x. And then we had Anders talking as well. He did a presentation on .1x as well, giving us some update information on where it's taking us. So it was I think some of these you'll find them valuable. Um,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, so why don't we talk then about the upcoming WLPC in Phoenix for
Yes.
2024? At least give people a heads up there because presentations have been selected. One of yours has been selected as well.
Yes, I'm kind of happy about this because in Prague I presented on the new MCS table. So
Hmm.
we've updated the MCS table to include the Wi-Fi 7 data rates. So I was kind of presenting about the changes and what it means for the MCS table and the data rates. But preparing that presentation, I wanted to explain how the data rates are calculated. So go like and explain kind of the math behind the different numbers that we see in the table, because I think people think it's more complicated than what it really is. So I started to do this, and then I realized there's no way I can do it in 10 minutes. you know so I left it alone, and I just started a new presentation just focusing on the topic that I had proposed. um, so I had this presentation that I kind of almost finished on explaining the math behind the Wi-Fi data rates. And so I proposed this, but I said I need 20 minutes. Please vote for me, and people voted just enough so I can get 20 minutes.
There you go.
So I'm going to polish that presentation, and then that's what I'm going to be talking about in Phoenix. Is kind of demystifying. Is that an English word? Not sure.
Yeah, demystifying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you approve.
yeah. There's books on
The
demystifying a topic. Yeah.
demystifying the how hard it is to calculate Wi-Fi data rates, and
All right.
explaining which components are into the calculation. So that's going to be my presentation. It's nothing very new, because the formula has been the same since the beginning of OFDM. There's a little twist with Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7, but at least it can help us to understand the math behind the different numbers.
Okay. Awesome.
And yeah, so that's what I'll be presenting about. And then this year is the 10 years anniversary.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so it's going to be I think a
It's
big
gonna be a
deal.
big event. Yeah. I guess I
And
should go.
it's always
Make it
the
my
question, huh?
second Phoenix WLPC.
Actually, I don't know. I think the tickets are probably for sale in December. That's usually the time frame they use.
Yeah. Okay.
But it looks like it's going to be a busy event, because if on the website we'll put a link so you guys can check out the presentation and stuff. But if you look into the boot camps, there's a lot of boot camps. So I'm guessing they're expecting more people than ever, because the boot camps, you need people to actually feel them. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. The agenda looks pretty similar to the structure that we've been using for a couple of years. So you still have the deep dives.
Yeah. Do you
Actually,
know
we
if
have
it's
a
at the
couple of.
same location?
I believe it's the same location.
Okay.
But you know what? I didn't actually check this venue. Yeah, the venue. Yeah, it's the same one. Same
Okay.
location. The resort at the Peak.
Maybe this time the tennis course will be open and we can play tennis. I don't know.
Oh, that would be nice.
We tried to
In the last
last
2
time.
years, they were renovating them. I'm not sure what it takes so long to renovate.
just add the new nets, guys. That's it.
And if they do, maybe we can do a tournament. Because
okay.
may have enough people to do a
I'm
little
down.
tournament anyway. Well,
Yeah,
we'll
maybe
see.
I'll just
Maybe
go just for this tennis tournament. Cool. Well, I think you did a good recap of the WLPC and making us looking forward to the Phoenix one in 2024, because now I'm kind of interested in going. And I think there's a lot of topics about Wi-Fi. Sometimes I think about Wi-Fi and I go, there's not enough to talk about sometimes. And then you have WLPC and you go, well, there is a lot to talk about with Wi-Fi, and still so much that we don't know, right? We're not an expert in any individual core piece of Wi-Fi. There's a lot to consider, a lot to test, a lot to try and work out when it comes to all these different offices, warehouses, outdoor spaces, and luckily there's a lot of people out there who can share their experience. So I'm going to be taking a look at a lot of these presentations, furthering my knowledge on Wi-Fi, and then hopefully triggering other ideas from these presentations that we can come up with as episodes as well for the podcast. So thank you, Francois.
And I forgot a tool to Timo Sass presented a tool where he's combining Wi-Fi and 5G surveys. So he has a little handheld device, and he's also using his phone with a LiDAR sensor to kind of see, like in a warehouse, how busy the shelves are, and he can replay that anyway. I'm not saying more. You can watch the video. it's pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we want to thank you guys for watching this episode. If there's anything you want to further discuss, you can make some comments on the down below in the YouTube video. But if there are topics you want to hear about that maybe you didn't get to see from WLPC, let us know, and maybe we can find somebody to talk about it. But otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Need a Wi-Fi scanner and survey tool that won't kill your budget? Try Wi-Fi Scanner for Windows. It's an all-in-one tool to explore Wi-Fi access points, test speed, and perform active and passive surveys. Built by Wi-Fi engineers for Wi-Fi engineers. Visit wifiscanner.com to start your free trial today.